Okay, today I want to talk about radical honesty, why you should have zero filters when talking to women. And this is a very passionate topic of mine because it had a huge impact on the way that I interact with women and the results that I've gotten in my life. In fact, ultimately, it led me to my current amazing relationship with my girlfriend. So, the reason I want you to be radically honest when talking to women, there are four main reasons. First of all, is the mirror law. The way that you act is going to be reflected on the person that you have in front of you. If you want somebody to be radically honest with you, then you have to be radically honest yourself. And I believe that most humans, most people want a true, genuine connection, whether it be a friendship with your close friends. You probably want them to be honest and transparent with your family, and also with the women that you interact with. Because this allows both parties to make an informed decision and also to know the person that you have in front of you. How many times has it happened to you that you have met somebody and they were putting forward an image of themselves in the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then there was like a switch up? The real she or the real you comes to light, and many times it's a total contradiction to what you were putting forward in the first weeks or months. And I'll tell you, most women have this same exact experience. Most guys, when they're in the first date, in the second, third, fourth date, before sleeping with the women, and even in the first months when sleeping with a woman, they're a certain person. They're trying to impress her. They're trying to be somebody they're not. They're trying to hide certain things. And then once they get a bit more comfortable, then they unleash the real person. And this is very frustrating because, you know, she might fall in love with the character that you put forward, and then you show the real you and she's disappointed. So, for that reason, being radically honest allows you and her to see if there's a connection from the first moment. So, practical examples starting from the first moment that you meet her. If you do a cold approach, meaning if you see a woman that you like in public and you go and say hi, be direct from the first moment. Do not try to pretend to be a friend at first, or ask for directions and then say why you're there. Get into the habit of just, putting your cards on the table. Hey, I find you attractive and I wanted to come say hi. That's all you need to say. Totally honest, totally direct. And women actually respect that because they know that it takes some balls to do it. And if you do it in a respectful way and you don't look, homeless, then she's gonna be like, okay, this is a guy who wants to meet me. If she's curious, she's gonna stay. Radically honest from the first moment. Then in the date as well. And I'll tell you, the second point is that you have much more fun when you're radically honest. When I used to have dates where I have a lot of structure in my head, a lot of pickup, theory in my head of, okay, I'm doing this type of, I'm trying to scale things forward, or I'm changing venues and I'm having this push pull things in my mind, it always led to like performance anxiety. Like before the date, I was kind of nervous and I was thinking, fuck, am I gonna do everything correctly, buy the book so I can get the girl? And even with guys who don't do pickup before the date, they're thinking, am I gonna say the jokes that are gonna be funny for her? Am I gonna be the right type of guy? But then when I switched to a radically honest style, what happened is that before date, the only thing I had in my mind is, hey, I'm just gonna enjoy. I'm just gonna have fun. And the dates turned completely different. They were unique. Each date that I had was totally unique because it was not scripted. So the things we talked about, the adventures we went on, and the connection that we created, each time was unique because each time I was putting zero filters in my mind. So anything that was relevant that day, that week, anything that I wanted to say, and if any worry that I had. One very common example that I give is the fact that when I was starting out, I had issues with the physical contact. So let's say you're in a date with a woman that you like and you would like to initiate some physical contact, but you're a bit blocked. That was what was happened to me. So instead of just staying there blocked or trying to do some awkward move, I would begin saying, "Hey, I know this might sound awkward, but I kind of want to have some physical contact, but I'm a bit in my head and I just wanted to say it." And I would say this, almost word by word. And the reactions that I was receiving were incredible. The woman, like, for what was in a bit of a shock, like, what the fuck? Nobody says this, nobody does that. But then she was like, okay, this guy has balls. Just says what he has in his mind. He's not worried about seeming vulnerable or insecure or anything like that. He just thinks that, and he says it. And now I can see the cards. So let's say you feel that blockage and you don't say anything. Well, the girl can feel some awkward energy. When there's some tension in the room, not even with the woman, but in general, everybody's thinking something, everybody feels that something is off, but nobody says anything. That tension continues. But if you just call it out, hey, this is what's going on. Oh, yeah, this is a bit awkward, but look, this is what we're dealing with. Then it kind of like diffuses the tension. Okay, we're in the clear. We addressed the elephant in the room. That's why radically honest people have much more authentic interactions, conversations, and they're even more charismatic. Think about the most charismatic person that you can think of. He probably says it's in his or her mind. Less filters, less bullshit, more authenticity. And again, much more fun. Once you have that established, the girl feels that she's in an environment where she can be herself. She doesn't have this pressure of, I have to be some kind of person and I have to put on this serious facade. No, I can be silly as well. I can, if I have some worry, I'm going to say it. And actually, when you are radically honest, you don't get these, clear ghostings or the woman doing something that you don't understand. Many men say, women are complicated. I completely disagree. I just believe that the way that you deal with them makes them feel complicated. But if you're radically honest, then the woman feels in an environment where she can also be radically honest and she knows that you're not going to take it the wrong way because you're doing the same. So if let's say you invite her to her house, to your house, and she just doesn't feel comfortable having something sexual yet, she's going to say it, up front. Or even I've had situations where there was simply no good connection, no good compatibility. And at the end of the date, we said it. This girl said, I don't think we're going to see each other again. And she had the, comfort to say that, knowing that I'm not going to react in a crazy way. And it's totally fine. Wouldn't you rather know the truth, even if it's quote unquote hurtful, which really it isn't? It just means that you went on a date, you had some fun, no good compatibility, you go to next. But let's say, wouldn't you prefer the hurtful truth than, just living in ignorance but not knowing exactly what happened, and then the girl doesn't reply to you, and then you can make up some excuse in your mind like, she's probably busy, when in reality she just didn't feel that connection? Well, I prefer the truth. That's why being radically honest allows you that, because of the mirror law. And then the third reason is that you get into a flow state. So I noticed when I started being radically honest, I would say anything that I had in my mind, like the example I gave you. I have this, I feel a bit blocked with physical contact, the example that I gave you. Well, same with anything else. And the way that I would approach the women, just giving a compliment, just saying everything that is in my mind. Well, you get into a flow state. Your logical mind, the one that's inhibiting you and making you into, overthinker, not knowing what to say, what to do. Not knowing what to say or to do just means that you're overthinking what to say or what to do. well, that mind starts to get turned off. Similar to when you drink alcohol. Why do so many people drink alcohol, and whenever they go to a party, they drink a lot? Because when they drink, the logical mind calms down and makes space for the more intuitive mind, just saying what feels correct in that way, being in that flow state, socially speaking. And that's, again, how you connect truly. You're not connecting logically what you think is correct to say in that moment. You say it, and then the girl the same, and it's fake by both sides. No, the intuitive mind is working, and you enjoy it much more. I'm sure you've been in a flow state sometime, whether it being with alcohol or without. And I'm sure that you've enjoyed it massively, because it's a great feeling. It's a feeling of such power and such freedom. So whenever you, like, one of the best ways to trigger that flow state, I tested for myself, I experimented for myself, is being radically honest from the first moment. You do that, and you trigger that flow state much, much quicker. You enjoy your nights out. You enjoy whenever you're out there interacting with women. The fourth, and I've kind of covered this throughout the video, is that you filter for the type of women who are a good match for you. Whenever you're radically honest, you can see if there's a true connection. Even with your sense of humor. One of my favorite things was to put zero filters in my sense of humor. And then I would filter for the type of women who would be fine. And not only fine, would be amazingly excited for that type of humor. An example that I'll give you with my ex-girlfriend, the way that I met her was in a bar, and I remember one joke that I made. We were talking back and forth. I was leaning against the wall, just having fun, right? And at some point, we were holding hands, and I pulled her a bit closer to me. So we had we were very close. And she said, "Whoa, you're kind of invading my personal space," with a smile. And I, let go of her hands, and I even said, as a joke, "Yeah, I'm used to invading. I have a Russian ancestry." And this was in 2022, 2 months after the war between Russia and Ukraine started, right? So some people would think, why the fuck are you making that joke? You're very insensible, la li la la. And okay, I think it's fine that you think that you have that opinion. But my opinion is that you should be able to joke about anything. And that's what I did in that moment. That's what I had in my mind in that moment. And guess what? She fucking laughed so hard. She was like, what the fuck? Who is this guy who allows himself to have this type of attitude where he can joke about these things? And the same thing with many other women that I met throughout my life. That unfiltered sense of humor was one of the main drawing points. And we even talked about it in many dates. We would ask, like, okay, why did each other decide to go on a date? Let's say with a woman, a random one. And one of the things that I would hear again and again was just the vibe. Like, the vibe that you have is so, I don't know, it's so attracting. And then they would describe as well, like, you would joke about things in such a fucking weird but cool way. So again, you filter for the women who are into your type of humor, into your type of life in general. So those are the 4 points why you should have zero filters when talking to women, why you should be radically honest. First of all, the mirror law. The woman starts being fully honest with you as well. You have much more fun, you get into a flow state, and you filter for the type of woman who you want to be with long term. That's it for today's video. I hope this helps you convince yourself that you should just let go and be radically honest whenever you're interacting with women and in your approaches. And if you want more information on this topic, you can go to armengaribian.com. That's my website. You will find everything you need there. I'll see you on the next video.